so it's not
streaming. Okay.
y'all aren't up the entire time. But
Okay.
sorry,
All
my bad.
Okay, everybody ready?
All right, so I'll kick us off. We called everybody here today. We know there's been a lot of conversation and dialogue around MPD, and so we just wanted to give an update and give the press an opportunity to ask any questions. This administration has been in office for 6 months now, and so over the 6 months, we've been consistently examining and figuring out the things that we're going to need to do to move our city in the right direction. As such, there will be changes amongst personnel, not just in MPD, but across the board. We will continue to evaluate all of our departments, but because Assistant Chief Jones has been the subject of conversation over the past week, I thought that it was important that we let the press know that as of today, he will no longer be with the city. And it was not due to any issues or concerns around residency. It's really just overall looking at the broader direction of the department, and we believe that you know, he's done great work for the city, but it's time for him to move on. And so we've made that decision, and we will continue to work with MPD and look at leadership long-term moving forward. And so those are really the opening comments and update. Chief Davis, I don't know if you want to add anything or just wait on comments, questions.
Well, and I will say also, just to just elaborate a little bit further too, that during the time that Chief Jones was here, he did great work. The mayor and I have had conversations about the future, and the future not just of the city, but the future of the Memphis Police Department as well, and making the right decisions and making sure that we have people, you know, on board who can help take our city in another direction.
Yeah. So I'll leave it there and open it up for any questions that you guys have.
Now, is this a decision made by the administration, or was this a personal decision made by Chief Jones?
It was a decision made by the administration, meaning myself. As mayor, you know, we have to appoint our top leadership, and it was not one that I took lightly. Certainly did have discussions directly with him as we made that decision, and many dialogues with Chief Davis along the way.
Chief Davis, how will this position be filled now, and what was the main, I guess, things that Jones did while he was in his position?
Well, you know, the department is really divided into two different sections. One very strong on the operations side, uniform patrol, and then the other side of the police department is heavy, the administrative side and investigations. Chief Jones was responsible for administrative types of responsibilities, training, and the investigation services, and various financial aspects of the department. Really important work. And it's a very, very important and critical position in the police department. So we'll be carefully thinking about, you know, the way forward.
So sorry, go ahead. Just to be clear, this was not a decision based off of where his residency was. This was a decision based on other factors?
Yeah, no, the residency issue based on state law, which has recently changed over the past couple of years, there was no violation that was made there. Really, for me, it was really just a decision based on what's going to really help take the organization, MPD, to the next level. And I think that while he's served admirably, I think that it's time for us to look at some new leadership in that role.
And while no rules or laws were broken, are you able to comment at all on how much time he spent here in Memphis versus in Georgia, where his other residency was?
I mean, I'll let Chief Davis, but
Yeah.
anytime I needed him, he was here. So
Absolutely. Chief Jones came to work every day and took very few days off and lived in Harbortown. So he had a resident here renting, you know, here in the city. The role in Memphis Police Department requires a lot of hours. And we all work a lot of hours, not just during the week, but also on the weekends. And he was there, you know, fulfilling that role just like any of my other employees.
Did the city pay for his travel back and forth to Georgia and here?
I don't
When
think
you
so,
say
but I
back
don't
and
know.
forth,
So if he traveled to the state of Georgia, was he reimbursed for that travel?
oh, he travels like we all do. If I go visit my mom, I pay my own way home and back, you know, so no, we only pay for, you know, training. If there's a training, at a particular location, we pay for that, but when, our officers are on vacation, just like, you know, any of us in city government, we don't pay for that.
Was he given relocation assistance when he was hired by the department?
That,
I don't know the specifics, but I think there was some assistance as far as move.
So this conversation is coming after a lot of questions about his residency, and you're saying that doesn't have to do with the decision made. Can you comment at all further on what did lead to this decision?
well, I mean, ever since I've come into office, there have been dialogues around the morale of the force and things that people are upset about and frustrated with internally. And one of the names that would come up would be his. I think he was making moves and taking actions that were necessary, but it also caused some conflict.
Two questions. One to Mary Young and Interim Chief Davis. How long were you aware, and how long were you aware of his primary residence being in Georgia? And then to you, Mary Young, when it comes to, you know, morale and the department, leadership in the department, has this incident or this situation coming to light changed your mindset or thought in supporting Interim Chief reappointment?
Oh, well, I'll respond to that. You know, Chief Jones' role here was not a permanent role. His role to come and assist in, you know, my moving here was part of supporting me in an administration where, you know, I needed someone who could help me do things that was familiar with the way that I like to operate. But he was never intended to live in the city of Memphis permanently. He is married. He has, you know, a home, and his wife came and visited on a regular basis, and I don't want to get too much into his personal life, but it was a very normal kind of situation, and we knew from the very beginning that he was not going to leave, sell his home and, you know, uproot his family.
But was there an
completely.
end date in mind before the reports about the residency in Georgia? Was there an end date in mind for Jones prior to those reports?
So the decision that I made was not driven around residency from Georgia. It was based on the factors that I just talked about, and I had made that decision somewhere around budget season.
Are there other, I know you talked about changes that you all were looking at, are there other leadership positions that you all are looking at, reviewing and questioning if they will continue with this administration?
I mean, all of our directors and chiefs are appointed employees, and so they serve at the will and pleasure of the mayor. So we are looking at everybody every day, because at the end of the day, it's about getting results. When I went before City Council earlier this year, that was one of the things that I told them, is that I, Mayor Paul Young, is the person that's accountable for getting results from our team. And if we're not getting the results that we need, we are certainly ready and willing to make changes where necessary. I think I neglected to answer your question when you asked me about my confidence in Chief Davis. My confidence in Chief Davis remains high, and I know that she is highly capable, and I know that she's doing great things within the department, and nothing has changed from that perspective.
Did
Well,
Chief
generally-
Jones use his work vehicle at all to travel to and from Atlanta?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
What will
Yeah.
Chief Jones receive as far as severance or benefits with departure from the department?
Nothing. His employment ends as of today.
Now, generally, it's the police chief that makes personnel decisions within the department. Why did you feel it was necessary for you to step in and make this decision?
Well, certainly I did it in consultation with the police chief, but at the end of the day, I am the one as mayor that has to sign the appointment letter for all of the top leadership in that department, and so I made the decision.
What's
So
your
this is
message?
a, sorry.
What's your message to the rank and file? You mentioned morale in the department was part of the reason for him to be dismissed. What's your message to those rank and file? police officers who feel there's a double standard, who the morale may be low? What's your message to them?
Well, I think most of our officers are concerned about ensuring their safety every day and continuing to do the right thing on the streets. And so I want them to know that they are supported, that they have the support of City Hall, that they have the support of 170 North Main, which is where the police department is housed, and that we're going to continue to work to resolve issues as they arise.
And there was some confusion over the weekend with new policies that were sent out. We were told it was a little premature. Can you talk a little bit about the initial policies sent out on Friday and then, you know, everything that's happened since?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a policy that was sent out, and it was prematurely. It was a policy that had an element in it that I had not reviewed. I sign off on policies on a regular basis with just a note, Chief, this has been reviewed and completed. And actually, part of the policy was correct, but one element of it, of that particular directive, was not something that had been reviewed. So it doesn't hurt. Anytime I see something that's an error, I'm going to pull it back. That's not the first time that's happened. But that was something that had not been effectively reviewed at all by me, and the timing was not right for us to actually insert that without us having discussion about it.
And was that an
This was a
item that
temporary
Chief Jones was
position.
instrumental in?
Excuse me?
Is that an item that Chief Jones was instrumental in, the criticism portion?
Well, I think internally there were discussions. You know, the mayor and I took a ride to Nashville for business on Wednesday, and there was discussions in our absence. And I think it was a concern. However, there is a way to deal with those types of concerns, and we just didn't feel like that was the correct way, and we decided to pull that back.
So can we clarify the residency policy? So in that draft manual, the residency requirement for officers was removed and replaced by something else. And so can you clarify what the policy is for officers when they're?
So the policy itself was not updated when it should have been updated when the state law changed. That's the first piece. And because of all of this discussion about residency came up, we were wondering, why is this in here? This is not aligned with the state law in the first place. So it was pulled. There is a piece of the policy that needs to be rewritten as it relates to the city's policy in returning to work for public safety officers. So we plan to do a corrected bulletin so that officers still know that the residency requirement is not in place according to state law. However, there is a requirement to return to work within a certain amount of time.
And what is that time period?
Excuse me?
What is that time period?
What do you mean, what is that time
You said they have
period?
to return to work in a certain time period.
I believe it's a 2-hour time period.
policy
Yeah, I believe that's in, I believe that was in the city's policy as well, which is a reasonable amount of time. Yeah.
So if this is this was a temporary position, are you looking to replace Chief Jones, or is it just no longer available?
No, I think the mayor and I have talked, this was a critical change in the structure of the Memphis Police Department. That was one of the issues, is that one assistant chief was carrying the work of the operations of the police department and the administrative piece too, which was a heavy lift. We changed the structure so that we have an assistant chief over one and a assistant chief over the other area, which is really important so that we can get work done and things don't, you know, fall through the cracks.
Mayor Young, I know that you have continuously said that Chief Davis is the chief of police here in Memphis. Do you know when you might go back to city council just to get that interim, you know, taken off?
Yeah, so she's the chief now, and city council has the purview to actually bring her appointment back up because the item was tabled when we went with the interim tag earlier this year. It's on them to do it. I think I've made my intentions clear, and we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to work.
I want to clarify, so we've said that Chief Jones has not violated the residency policy, but having residency in Georgia and then being required to return to work within 2 hours, is he in compliance? Was he in compliance?
He has a home in Memphis
There's
too.
a home here in Memphis. He was at work earlier than a lot of people were,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
One last question, along the same lines. Can you comment if Deputy Chief Joe Oakley is still a member of the police force?
An hour ago he was.
Okay, because his bio is no longer on the website, so we were trying to clarify that.
Oh, no, there may be some website work going
Yeah,
on right
yeah,
now, but
no,
please, he's still
he's with
employed.
us.
I think he would want people to know that he's still with us.
Okay.
Okay?
One last question.
One last.
One last question for me. Are there any other officials, leaders, directors that you all have looked at that are not residents of Memphis?
No.
That we know of.
Nope, not that I know of. No. All right. Thank
Okay,
you guys
thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
all.
Thank